welcome back to the Smash Archive, the series where we look at every game franchise represented in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Last time we looked at the most represented series in the game, Super Mario. However, at the end of that video, I mentioned there was still some Mario-related things that didn't get discussed, due to Smash regarding them as being from separate series. So, what would be a better follow-up to talk about these 4, technically 5, series from the expanded Mario universe. Just like the Mario video, we'll split this into waves by each series, starting with the Donkey Kong series, then the Yoshi series, followed by the Wario Land and WarioWare series, which Smash combines into the general Wario series, and then end off with the Wrecking Crew series. So, let's get started with the Donkey Kong series. Now, I did talk about the original Donkey Kong in the Mario video, albeit only mentioning the stuff from this game that eventually became part of the Mario series. So for a quick rundown, Nintendo, who at the time was struggling to make a dent in Western arcades, got Shigeru Miyamoto, who had previously worked for them as an artist on some of their games, to design a game that could reuse their cabinets from their most recent flop, Radar Scope, with the final result being Donkey Kong after their initial plan to make a Popeye game fell through when they couldn't get the rights, making them replace Popeye, Olive Oil, and Bluto with who we now know as Mario, Pauline, and Donkey Kong. Unsurprisingly, given this is the series' origin, there's a decent amount to go over. To start off, there's the stage 75 meters, a complete recreation of the third screen from the original arcade game, with the only change being the bottom platform can't be stood on. The stage includes ladders which can be climbed just like the original. A parasol, hat, and bag also appear dotted around the stage, which functioned as a way to gain bonus points in the original game. In Smash, they add to the score value visible in the top of the stage, but it doesn't have any actual effect on gameplay. In addition, fireball enemies can be seen moving around the center and right-hand side of the stage, behaving like they do in the game and dealing fire damage if touched. Every so often, the Donkey Kong at the top of the stage will step out from the background, this being signified when the new game jingle overrides the music. And we'll start sending out jacks, which will bounce across the top platform before falling near the right-hand side, with both DK and the jacks damaging any fighter who touches them, matching their behavior in the original game. Next are 6 music tracks, with 3 versions of the opening song, which was created for the title screen of the NES ports, with a Brawl remix which also incorporates the game start jingle, the 25 meters theme, and the hammer music. Donkey Kong Country Returns, which is a remix from Returns used for the game's title screen. And a Smash 4 remix based on Returns' version of the song. Two versions of 25 meters with the original song, and a Brawl remix titled Donkey Kong. with multiple sound effects from the original game being heard in the background. And Donkey Kong / Donkey Kong Jr. medley. A new medley containing the game start, 25 meters, hammer, bonus running out, stage clear, 100 meters, and all clear music from Donkey Kong. Along with the game start, Stage 1, Stage 4, ending, and stage clear music from Donkey Kong Jr. Following that, we have the only item from the Donkey Kong series, Hammer, a power-up from the original game, which if grabbed would cause Mario to start swinging the hammer and kill any enemy he hits with it, at the cost of not being able to jump or climb ladders while using it. In Smash, grabbing the hammer will similarly cause the fighter who grabbed it to start swinging the hammer for a few seconds, doing large amounts of damage and knockback to any fighter they hit it with. The downside being that while in this state, the only thing the fighter can do is move and jump. In addition, there's also the chance that when used, the hammerhead will fall off, leaving the user completely vulnerable and leaving the head as a throwable weapon. Finally, we have spirit number 137, Donkey Kong and Lady, a 3-slot legend primary grab spirit with the effect Strong Throw. This Donkey Kong eventually becoming the character Cranky Kong in the Country series, hence why we didn't talk about DK as a fighter, and Lady being Pauline's name in the original Japanese release of the game. Next, we have the sequel to the original arcade game with Donkey Kong Jr., which switches the roles with Donkey Kong being captured by Mario, with it being up to his son, Donkey Kong Jr., to save him. Whilst forgotten now, DK Jr. proved popular enough to not only get an educational spin-off game with Donkey Kong Jr. Math, but DK Jr. would also often appear in Mario spin-off games through the Super Nintendo era, before Nintendo started to favour regular DK over Jr. Outside of the previously mentioned medley with the Donkey Kong series, there's only one thing taken from this game. That being spirit number 138, Donkey Kong Jr., a 1-slot Ace primary grab spirit with the effect Strong Throw. The game's main protagonist, who also appeared in a few Mario spin-offs, with his last appearance being in Game & Watch Gallery 4, until suddenly returning 18 years later as part of the Super Mario Kart Tour event in Mario Kart Tour. The spirit arc coming from Donkey Kong Jr. Math, where Jr. has to solve math equations given to him by Donkey Kong. To end off the arcade trilogy, we have the most forgotten entry with Donkey Kong 3, where Donkey Kong breaks into a greenhouse and it's up to the local bug exterminator to both get rid of DK and kill the insects he inadvertently releases before they kill the greenhouse's flowers. This game didn't do anywhere near as well as previous entries, with the arcade release only selling 5,000 units compared to the previous entries' 60,000 and 30,000 units sold. And unlike the previous two games, which have been referenced countless times, DK3 only got a Game & Watch port, 2 microgames in the WarioWare series, and appearing in the game NES Remix. Unsurprisingly, this means Donkey Kong 3 doesn't have much to talk about, with only one thing being taken. That being spirit number 139, Stanley, a 2-slot advanced primary shield spirit. The game's main protagonist, whose first appearance was as the main character in the Game & Watch game Greenhouse. Now we're at the series most people know Donkey Kong for nowadays, the Donkey Kong Country series, with the original games being developed by Rareware, a UK-based studio who, outside of Donkey Kong, are most known for their output on the N64, with games like Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, and 007 GoldenEye. The DKC series became known for its higher difficulty compared to other Nintendo platformers at the time, its gorgeous soundtrack, and the use of pre-rendered 3D graphics, a process where 3D models are converted into 2D sprites. Given this game basically rebirthed the Donkey Kong franchise, it shouldn't be surprising to hear that this is the most represented Donkey Kong game. To start, all 3 fighters from the DK series come from Country, these being fighter number 2, Donkey Kong, the series' main protagonist and grandson of the original Donkey Kong, with the red tie actually being an addition from the Game Boy remake of the original Donkey Kong, often nicknamed Donkey Kong 94, albeit the DK letters on the tie were originally white, with them being changed to yellow in Donkey Kong Country 2. Fighter number 36, Diddy Kong, DK's main ally in the game, with him going on to be the main protagonist of the sequel. Interestingly enough, Diddy started off as a redesign for Donkey Kong Jr., but Nintendo felt the redesign was too different and told Rare to either use the original design or make him a separate character, with Diddy being made DK's nephew instead of his son, although this was later dropped and they're just friends in later entries. And fighter number 67, King K. Rool, the game's main antagonist and final boss. K. Rool being the leader of the Kremlings and is the main antagonist for a majority of the series, with his last appearance in that role being DK Jungle Climber, and his only other appearances since then being as a hidden character in Donkey Kong Barrel Blast and as a teammate in Mario Super Sluggers, making Ultimate his first major appearance in 10 years. Next we have 3 stages, the first being Congo Jungle, the stage being named after the game's first world, additionally being based on the game's jungle levels, with the sunset background making it most resemble the level Orangutan Gang, which is actually in the third world, Vine Valley. The stage includes some flying platforms, which seems to be original for the stage. At the bottom of the stage, a barrel cannon floats from left to right. If a player falls in, they will shoot themselves out in the direction the arrow is pointing. These appeared in several levels throughout the game, but the white arrow wouldn't appear on them until Country 2. In the background, it's also possible to see a flock of Neckies, vulture enemies from the game. Following that is the stage Congo Falls, a stage loosely based on Congo Jungle, as the area doesn't actually have a waterfall. The stage takes place on a raft at the edge of a waterfall, with a treehouse visible in the background, which resembles the one DK lives in that appears at the start of the first level, Jungle Hijinks, and the map for Konga Jungle. The barrel cannon once again appears at the bottom, behaving the exact same way that it does in Konga Jungle. During the fights, logs will come down from the river and function as temporary platforms before falling down the waterfall. Along with the logs, claptraps, a small Kremling enemy, also appear in the river and will try to bite fighters. The last and overall final stage from the DK series is Jungle Japes, an original stage set above a river, which while based on the original Donkey Kong Country, it's named after the first world of Donkey Kong 64. In addition to the claptraps also appearing in this stage jumping out of the river, the central platform also has a house based on the cabin Cranky Kong lives in, Cranky being the elderly original Donkey Kong who offers tips and tricks, with a silhouette of Cranky being visible through the cabin's window, along with a flask and test tubes based on his role in Donkey Kong 64, where he makes potions giving character upgrades in exchange for banana coins. Moving on, we have 14 music tracks. First are two versions of a track which combines the map page music and the bonus level theme, one using the original music, where they were called Simian Segway, and Bonus Room Blitz. And the other being a new remix for Ultimate. Seven versions of the jungle level theme, which in the game's soundtrack is called DK Island Swing, with a Smash 64 remix, a Melee remix, a Brawl remix, two Smash 4 remixes with both a jazz version and a tribal version, Jungle Hijinks, a remix from Donkey Kong Country Returns, and Swinger Flinger, a remix from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Ice Cave Chant, a track that is used for the level Slip Slide Ride. Funky's Fugue, which plays at Funky's Flights, a quick travel service run by Funky Kong. And 3 versions of Gangplank Galleon, the game's final boss theme, with a Brawl remix, and 2 new remixes, one based on the original song, and the other based on Snakey Shanty, a remix that plays during 2 levels in Donkey Kong Country 2. Next we have the only assist trophy from Donkey Kong, Claptrap, who behaves similar to the games, where it travels across the floor and bites fighters it runs into. Following on, we have a costume for Mii Brawlers based on King K. Rool, who, just like his appearance as a playable character, is based on his appearance in Donkey Kong Country 1 and DK64. Finally, there's 14 spirits. Number 134, Donkey Kong, a fighter spirit, with the art coming from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Number 135, Diddy Kong, a fighter spirit, with the art coming from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, where he's one of 3 possible sidekicks. Number 136, King K. Rool, a fighter spirit, with the art coming from DK Jungle Climber, which, as previously mentioned, is currently the last Donkey Kong game to have K. Rool as the main antagonist. Number 140, Cranky Kong, a 3-slot ace primary attack spirit with the effect Speed Down, with the art coming from Donkey Kong Country Returns, where Cranky runs shops where you can buy items in exchange for banana coins. Number 141, Funky Kong, a master spirit who runs the shop Funky Kong's Shack, with the art coming from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, where Funky ran the shops in the original release, with him also being added as a playable character in the Switch re-release. Number 142, Candy Kong, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect critical health stats up. Candy being the character to go to in order to save the game, with the art coming from DK Jungle Climber, where she hosts the mini-games. Number 150, Rambi, a 1-slot ace primary attack spirit with the effect Speed Up, an animal buddy who can break fragile walls and kill most enemies by ramming into them, with the art coming from Donkey Kong Country Returns, where he fulfills the same purpose. Number 151, On Guard, a 1-slot advanced primary attack spirit with the effect Electric Weakness, an animal buddy who gives better controls and lets you attack enemies with a charge attack for the game's underwater levels. Number 152, Squawks, a 2-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Fog Immunity, an animal buddy who appears for 1 level, Torchlight Trouble, where he helps provide lighting with a torch, with the art coming from Donkey Kong Country Returns, where he's a purchasable item to help find puzzle pieces hidden within the levels. Number 153, Espresso, a 1-slot novice support spirit Spirit with the effect Trade-Off Speed Up. An animal buddy who can run fast and glide through the air. Number 154, Winky, a 1-slot novice support spirit with the effect Foot Attack Up. An animal buddy who jumps high, allowing you to get over obstacles easier and access secret areas. Number 159, Critter, a 1-slot novice primary grab spirit. The most common and iconic enemy in the series, with them appearing in other games, most notably being the goalkeeper in the first 2 Mario Strikers games. The spirit art coming from Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, where they're one of the game's starter characters and DK's rival. Number 160, Zinger, a slotless novice primary shield spirit, a series recurring B enemy that can only be attacked with certain animal buddies, or by throwing barrels at them, with the art coming from DK Jungle Climber, where they fulfill a similar role. And number 161, Claptrap, a slotless advanced primary attack spirit with the effect Weight Down. Outside of Donkey Kong, they've also shown up on the DK themed courts in Mario Power Tennis and DK Stadium in Mario Superstar Baseball. Next we have Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest, which, much like how the sequel to the original arcade game had DK be kidnapped by Mario and needed to be saved by DK Jr., DKC2 has DK being kidnapped by the Kremlings and needing to be saved by Diddy Kong. This game, whilst not selling as many copies as the original game, is often considered the best entry in the original DKC trilogy. So following that, there's a good amount of stuff from this game. First we have 2 music tracks, with a Brawl remix of Sticker Bush Symphony, the theme for the game's Bramble levels. And a new remix of Crocodile Cacophony, the game's final boss theme. Which also incorporates elements from the game's title theme, K. Rool Returns. Next we have the Mii hat, Dixie Kong's hat. Dixie Kong fulfilling the same role as Diddy in the first game, being the game's main ally, with her having the unique ability to glide through the air by spinning her ponytail. Finally we have 6 spirits. Number 143, Swanky Kong, a 1-slot novice support spirit which lets you start the battle with a banana gun. Swanky hosting a quiz show where if you get all 3 questions right, you're rewarded with extra lives. Number 144, Wrinkly Kong, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Trade-Off Defense Up. She provides hints and saves the game, fulfilling the same role as both Cranky and Candy Kong in the original game, with the art coming from DK Jungle Climber, where she has a minor cameo in the game's opening cutscene. Also, if you're wondering why she's a ghost, she died at some point between Donkey Kong Country 3 and Donkey Kong 64. Number 145, Dixie Kong, a 3-slot ace primary grab spirit which can be enhanced at level 99, with the art coming from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which was her return to the series after being absent since Mario Super Sluggers. Number 155, Squitter, a 2-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Sticky Floor Immunity, an animal buddy who can shoot webs to either kill enemies or create web platforms. Number 156, Rattly, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Jump Up, an animal buddy who basically fulfills the same role Winky did in Country 1, being able to jump high to reach hidden areas, with Rattly also being able to do a charged super jump. And number 162, Captain K. Rool, a 2-slot legend primary attack spirit, this being the persona K. Rool takes for the game's final boss fight, with this also being the explanation as to why all the Kremlings are suddenly pirate themed. To end off the Super Nintendo trilogy, we have Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, once again continuing the tradition of protagonists getting kidnapped, with Dixie now having to save both DK and Diddy from the Kremlings. This game didn't sell as well as the previous two entries, mostly due to the game releasing near the end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan and the same year the Nintendo 64 released. Because of that, not much is actually here from Country 3. Only 3 spirits were brought over. Number 146, Dixie Kong and Kiddy Kong, a 3-slot legend primary grab spirit with the effect thrown items up. Dixie and Kiddy being the game's main protagonists, with Country 3 being the only game Kiddy Kong appears in. Number 157, Ellie, a 1-slot novice support spirit with the effect water and ice attack up, an animal buddy who is pretty much Country 3's equivalent to Rambi, with her being able to throw barrels and shoot water with her trunk. And number 163, Baron K. Rulenstein, a 3-slot ace primary shield spirit, a Frankenstein persona taken up by K. Rool for the final boss fight, with him creating the robot Chaos to kidnap DK and Diddy. Now we have what is currently Donkey Kong's only attempt at a 3D platformer, Donkey Kong 64, with this also being the last DK game Rareware would work on before they were bought out by Microsoft in 2002, not counting a Game Boy Color port of Country 1, with the only DK games they worked on afterwards being Game Boy Advance ports of the Super Nintendo trilogy and a DS remake of the kart racer Diddy Kong Racing. Returning to the subject at hand, DK64 is often regarded as being the most extreme example of a collectathon game, a genre of 3D platformers which focus around collecting multiple items in order to progress, with it even holding the Guinness World Record for most collectibles in a video game with 3,821 items to collect, although only 281 are actually needed to complete the game. Because of that, there is a decent amount of stuff here. To start, we have one music track with a Melee remix of the DK Rap, a song that plays at the start of the game to introduce the game's 5 playable characters.
Here we go. Finally here, performing for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together if you want to clap as we take you through this monkey rap.
In addition, addition, there's also 4 spirits. Number 147, Lanky Kong, a 3-slot advanced primary grab spirit. A Kong you save in the second level, Angry Aztec, with his only other major appearance in the series being a playable character in Donkey Kong Barrel Blast. Number 148, Tiny Kong, a 1-slot ace support spirit with the effect easier dodging. Tiny also being imprisoned in Angry Aztec, with her also being Dixie Kong's sister. She did return to replace Banjo in the DS remake of Diddy Kong Racing, but was redesigned with a taller, teenage-like design, which was also used for appearances in Donkey Kong Barrel Blast and Mario Super Sluggers. Number 149, Chunky Kong, a 2-slot advanced primary attack spirit. The final playable Kong, who is saved in the 3rd level, Frantic Factory. Chunky being Kiddy Kong's older brother, with DK64 being his only major appearance. And number 164, Blast-O-Matic, a 1-slot legend support spirit with the effect Giant Killer, a giant laser-firing weapon K. Rool plans to use to blow up DK Isles, with the artwork being original to Smash Ultimate, where it appears as K. Rool's final smash. Donkey Konga is a trilogy of rhythm games for the GameCube developed by Namco, specifically being the same team behind Namco's own rhythm game series, Taiko no Tatsujin, with all 3 games being played using the DK Bongos controller. Whilst the first 2 games saw worldwide releases, with them even getting different track lists between the Japanese, American, and European versions of the game, the third one was Japan exclusive. Given it's a rhythm game series and most of the songs from the games are copyrighted, it shouldn't be shocking that there isn't a lot here. The only thing being spirit number 169, Donkey Kong and Bongos, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Perfect Shield Reflect, DK, unsurprisingly, being the game's main protagonist. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat is a 2D platformer released for the GameCube, which was played using those same DK Bongo controllers used for the Donkey Konga games, with it also being the first DK game developed in-house by Nintendo since Donkey Kong 3. The game also saw a re-release on the Wii as part of the new Play Control series, which reworked the controls to be playable using a Wiimote and nunchuck, whilst also adding and rearranging some of the levels. There is a decent amount of stuff given this was a one-off game. First is the music track Battle for Storm Hill, which plays during the level of the same name. That we have 2 spirits. Number 170, Karate Kong, a 1-slot ace primary attack spirit with the effect Fist Attack Up, this being the boss fought at the end of the Pineapple Kingdom. And number 171, Ninja Kong, a 1-slot novice primary shield spirit, the boss fought at the end of the Dorian Kingdom. DK Jungle Climber, along with the game as a sequel to DK King of Swing, were spin-offs which focused on having DK climb through levels by grabbing and swinging around pegs, with both games being developed by Payon DP, who have mostly worked as a support studio on various games, most notably on various SNK games for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Given that these are the most obscure DK games and that nothing from DK King of Swing got in, there's not much from DK Jungle Climber. The only thing being the music track Boss 2, which plays during the game's 3rd to 6th boss fights. Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, or Donkey Kong Jet Race in Europe, is a Donkey Kong jetpack racing game for the Wii, developed by Payon DP, the same company behind the previously mentioned DK King of Swing and Jungle Climber. The game was initially supposed to be the 5th game played using the DK Bongos controller, but was then switched to the Wii during development, with it instead being played using motion controls. Given this is a fairly forgotten DK spin-off, and the most negatively received Donkey Kong game, it's not surprising that there's not much from this game either, with Smash only taking 2 spirits. Number 167, Kip, a 1-slot novice primary shield spirit with the effect Jump Up, a starter character who acts as Diddy Kong's rival. And number 168, Calypso, a 1-slot novice support spirit which lets you start the battle with a rocket belt. A character unlocked by winning the Sapphire Cup as a Kremling and Tiny Kong's rival. Now we have the revival of the Country series with Donkey Kong Country Returns, with the series shifting developers to Retro Studios, who are most known for being the developers of the Metroid Prime series. The game continuing the series' 3D roots by being a 2.5D platformer, basically a 2D platformer that uses 3D models and has you transition between the foreground and background as if you were exploring a fully 3D space. The game initially released on Wii, but later got a 3DS port, which added an easy mode and a bonus 9th world. Given this game revived the Country series, there's a good amount of content. First, we have 2 music tracks. Mole Patrol, which plays during the levels Mole Patrol and Liftoff Launch. And a Smash 4 remix of Gear Getaway, which plays during the levels Peaceful Pier, Crowded Cavern, Gear Getaway, and Hot Rocket. After that are 2 spirits. Number 158, Professor Chops, a 1-slot novice support spirit with the effect Stamina Up, this being the character used to provide tutorial information, managing the checkpoints, and hosting the game's time attack mode. And number 165, Tiki Tak Tribe, a 3-slot novice primary neutral spirit with the effect Fire Weakness. The game's main antagonists who mind-control the island to seal DK's banana horde to power their leader, Tiki Tong. Finally, we have the most recent game in the Donkey Kong series, at least at the time of recording, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, a sequel to Returns, once again developed by Retro Studios. The main additions from Returns being Dixie Kong and Cranky Kong being partners in addition to the returning Diddy Kong, with the later Switch port also adding the ability to play as Funky Kong, who has more health but can't team up with Diddy, Dixie, or Cranky. Despite this being the most recent game, there's surprisingly little from this entry. First is the music track Mangrove Cove, the theme from the game's first level of the same name. The only other thing being spirit number 166, Lord Frederick, a 1-slot novice primary grab spirit with the effect Wait Up. The main antagonist and final boss being the leader of the Snowmads. And that's everything from the Donkey Kong series. In terms of overall rankings for most represented series, compared to Mario's first place, Donkey Kong is 8th, being ranked above Animal Crossing but below Mega Man, with it also being the most represented series that doesn't enter the triple digits for the number of pieces of representation. But now we're done with Donkey Kong, let's move on to Yoshi. Yeah, a bit of an odd start, but similar to how stuff that's listed as being from the Mario series technically originated from Donkey Kong, there are some things from the Yoshi series that originated from Super Mario World. Given we've already talked about this game in depth in the previous video, I'll make this short. First, we have fighter number 5, Yoshi, a rideable dinosaur who can eat enemies. Yoshi going on to be a mainstay of the Mario universe, appearing in nearly every spin-off game and fulfilling a similar role in Super Mario Sunshine, Galaxy 2, and the console New Super Mario Bros. Games. In addition, Yoshi has an alternate costume which gives his boots a more plastic-like shine and covers his skin with a felt-like texture, mimicking his appearance in the most recent Yoshi game, Yoshi's Crafted World. Next is the stage Yoshi's Island Melee, based on the game's grassland levels on Yoshi's Island. The stage features 2 sloped platforms on the side, one being a sloped hill and the other a diagonal pipe, which both appear in the game. There's also some rotating blocks which cover up the chasm in the middle of the stage and make up 2 floating platforms, which if hit can be passed through by fighters before turning into proper platforms after a short amount of time. This behaviour mimicking how the blocks functioned in the original game, where they acted as Mario World's equivalent to the traditional brick block. In addition, there's also background cameos from Bonsai Bill, a giant bullet bill who first appeared in Super Mario World, and a Fishin' Lakitu, a Lakitu carrying a fishing rod with a walnut mushroom on the end, who only appears in one level in Mario World, that being Forest of Illusion 4. Following that, we have a Melee remix of the Athletic theme, which plays during levels that focus on jumping between floating platforms over bottomless pits. Finally, we have 2 spirits. Number 297, Yoshi, a fighter spirit, with the art coming from Mario Party 10, Yoshi being one of 4 characters to appear in every single Mario Party. And number 315, Blarg, a 2-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Mouthful of Curry, a lava dinosaur enemy who appears in the levels Vanilla Dome 1, 3, and Chocolate Secret, with the art coming from Yoshi's Story, where they only appear for 1 level, 2-2 Blarg's Boiler. Now we have the first game in the Yoshi's Island series, which also doubled as a sequel to Super Mario World. The game actually being a prequel, where a group of Yoshis work together to try and reunite a baby Mario with both Luigi and the stork who was trying to deliver them to their parents. The most notable thing about the games being its gameplay of eating enemies and then throwing them as eggs to defeat other enemies, and its art style, which, after being told the game was visually lacking punch when compared to Donkey Kong Country, the team gave a hand-drawn art style, achieved by actually drawing the characters on paper, scanning them, then redrawing them as pixels. Given this is the start of Yoshi's most popular series, there's a lot to cover. First is the stage Yoshi's Island, based on the game's overworld levels. During the fight, the stage transitions between 4 seasons. Spring, which has red tulips resembling the ones from the first level, Summer, which has flowers resembling the collectible special flowers, with the background resembling the levels World 2-1 and World 2 Extra. Autumn, which has wheatgrass and the background resembling the levels 4-1 and 4-5. And Winter, with heavy snow resembling World 5-2 and 5-3. The stage has cameos from 4 enemies, the first being Fly Guys, a flying variant of Shy Guys who first appeared in Yoshi's Island. During the fight, they carry food, mimicking how some Fly Guys carry winged clouds and red coins in the game, in both cases dropping them if they get hit. A Blarg Witch occasionally pops up on the left and right hand sides of the stage, carrying a platform on their head for players to stand on, mimicking their behaviour in Yoshi's Island where they appear for one level, World 5-4 Sluggy the Unshaven's Fort. Finally, the background has appearances from 2 chomps throughout the fight, and some Goonies who appeared during the summer and autumn variations. Next we have 3 music tracks. First with 2 versions of the Overworld theme, with a Brawl remix that also includes Obstacle Course, the game's athletic theme, and a Smash 4 remix which includes the opening music and the map theme. As well as a Brawl remix of Obstacle Course. Finally, there's 15 spirits. Number 299, Baby Mario, a 3-slot ace primary neutral spirit which can be enhanced at level 99. The baby version of Mario that Yoshi has to protect throughout the game, with the art coming from the GBA port of the game Yoshi's Island Super Mario Advance 3. Number 300, Baby Mario Superstar Mario, a 3-slot legend primary neutral spirit with the effect First Strike Advantage. This being Baby Mario's appearance after getting a superstar, making them invincible and gaining the ability to run up walls, with the art coming from Yoshi's Island DS, where the power-up only appears for 4 levels. Number 301, Baby Bowser, a 2-slot legend primary neutral spirit, the baby version of Bowser who acts as the game's final boss, with the art coming from Mario Advance 3. Number 302, Stork, a 2-slot ace support spirit with the effect Strong Wind Immunity. This being the stork that was trying to deliver Baby Mario and Luigi to their parents before being attacked by Kamek, with the art coming from Yoshi's New Island, where the same thing happens after he initially delivers the babies to the wrong parents. Number 303, Toadies, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Toss and Meteor, a strange hybrid of Fly Guy and Magic Koopa that try to kidnap Baby Mario, with the art coming from Mario Advance 3. Number 304, Crazy Daisy, a 2-slot novice primary neutral spirit with the effect Weight Down, a flower enemy that can survive being eaten and spat out, with the art coming from Yoshi's Island DS. Number 305, Tap Tap, a 1-slot novice primary shield spirit with the effect Weight Up, a near invincible enemy covered in spikes that can't be eaten, with the art coming from Yoshi Topsy-Turvy. Number 306, Bandit, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Item Gravitation, a Shy Guy-like enemy who attempts to steal Baby Mario from Yoshi, with the art coming from Yoshi's New Island. Number 307, Slugger and Green Glove, a 1-slot novice support spirit that lets you start the battle with a Beast Ball. Sluggers hitting back eggs with a baseball bat, whilst Green Gloves catch and throw eggs chucked at them. Number 308, Little Mouser, a 1-slot novice support spirit with the effect Lightweight, a mouse enemy that tries to steal Yoshi's eggs, with the art coming from Yoshi's New Island. Number 309, Grim Leecher, a 1-slot novice support spirit which lets you start the battle with a rambling evil mushroom, a ghost enemy who only appears in the level World 4 Extra, the Impossible Maze, where they knock Baby Mario off Yoshi and what's riding him reverses the player's controls, with the art coming from Yoshi's New Island, where they only appear in World 2-4, Beware the Boo Brigade. Number 310, Roger the Potted Ghost, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Strong Wind Resist, the boss of the second world with the art coming from Mario Advance 3. Number 311, Bert the Bashful, a 2-slot novice primary shield spirit with the effect Speed Down, the mid-boss of World 1 with the art coming from Mario Advance 3. Number 312, Raphael the Raven, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Falling Immunity, the boss of World 5 with the art coming from Mario Advance 3. And number 320, Yukiki, a 1-slot novice support spirit which lets you start the battle with a banana gun, a monkey enemy common in the game's jungle levels which attacks Yoshi in a variety of ways, with the art coming from Yoshi's New Island, where they prominently appear in the game's third world. Moving to the Nintendo 64, we have Yoshi's Story, which unlike a lot of platformer series at the time, decided to stay 2D and instead use pre-rendered graphics similar to the previously mentioned Donkey Kong Country. The plot having a group of baby Yoshis going on a journey to beat Baby Bowser after he steals the Super Happy Tree and turns the island into a pop-up book. Given this was the last console Yoshi game until the Wii U, there is a good amount here. To start, we have two stages, the first being Super Happy Tree, a stage that is generally based on Yoshi's story, with the name coming from the central platform having the Super Happy Tree in the background, with the ground platform's V-shape potentially being based on how in the game's story, Yoshi's Island is turned into a storybook. The central platforms being made of cardboard is based on the aesthetic of the game's first level, Treasure Hunt, with the fabric background resembling the second and third levels, Surprise and Rail Lift. There's also some floating cloud platforms that disappear after being stood on for too long, which take a similar appearance to the ones from the game. In addition, there's some background cameos from message blocks that provide tutorial information when hit, as well as the enemies Goonies and Fly Guys. The other stage is Yoshi's story, which more so specifically resembles the levels we mentioned earlier, all of which come from the game's first world. The stage has appearances from Fly Guys, which behave almost identical to the ones from the Yoshi's Island stage we talked about earlier, with a floating cloud platform going around a rail through the central platform, taken directly from the third level Rail Lift. Finally, there's a background cameo from the enemy Pac-E-Derm, an enemy who blocks Yoshi from going down the pathway it's standing on, with it being possible to stun them using a ground pound. Next we have 3 music tracks, 2 versions of Yoshi's story, the title screen music, with both remixes also containing Yoshi's song, the main motif of the game, with both a Smash 64 remix and a Melee remix. Along with a Brawler remix of Yoshi's Tale, the credits theme, with it also containing the main theme. And to end off, we have 3 spirits. Number 313, Super Happy Tree, a 2-slot legend support spirit with the effect Invincibility after eating. The tree, which, as previously mentioned, is the ultimate source of happiness on the island. Number 314, Pac-E-Derm, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Perfect Shield Reflect, whose only other appearance was as a stamp in the Japan-only Mario Artist Paint Studio. And number 316, Don Bongo, a slotless advanced primary shield spirit with the effect Fire Attack Up. The boss fought at the end of Stage 3-4, Frustration. Yoshi Topsy-Turvy, or Yoshi's Universal Gravitation in every other region than America, is a Game Boy Advance game which focuses on tilting the world, which is accomplished by tilting the Game Boy Advance, with the game detecting this using a gyroscope within the game's cartridge. The game was developed by R-Toon, a subsidiary of AQ Interactive, who had worked on other Nintendo games, namely Fling Smash and The Last Story, before being absorbed by AQ in 2010, who in turn would merge with the company's Marvelous Entertainment and Liveware to form Marvelous AQL a year later. Given this is one of the more obscure Yoshi games, not much of a surprise there isn't much here, the only things being two spirits. Number 317, Hongo, a one-slot novice support spirit with the effect Magic Resist Up, a spirit who traps the island in a storybook in an attempt to stop Bowser, with him only agreeing to release the island if they can trap Bowser somewhere else. And number 318, Spirit Who Loves Surprises, a one-slot novice support spirit with the effect PSI Attack Up, this being the spirit who tells Yoshi about what happened and giving Yoshi the gravitational power which he uses throughout the game. Yoshi Touch Go is an auto-runner game for the DS, with the game revolving around either seeing how far you can get, or reaching a certain goal within a time limit. The game initially starting off as a DS tech demo called Balloon Trip, later being expanded into a full game. Since this game is also fairly obscure and doesn't have much meat on its bones, this will be another short one, the only thing being one music track. A Brawl remix of Flower Field, the music that plays during the game's marathon mode. Now we have the first proper sequel to the original Yoshi's Island, Yoshi's Island DS, developed by R-Toon, the same people behind Yoshi Topsy-Turvy, with the main thing that makes this game stand out compared to the original game being the use of the DS's two screens and gaining different abilities by carrying different babies. There's surprisingly little given this is basically Yoshi's Island 2. Like Touch Go, the only thing to discuss is one music track, a Brawl remix of Wario Land, which plays during various levels in the game. Next is Yoshi's New Island, the third and currently last proper Yoshi's Island game, this time being made by Arzest, who have also worked with Nintendo to make 3 of the games from Wii Play Motion, the game Me Trek for the Street Pass Me Plaza, and Hey Pikmin. Given the game's mixed reception, there once again is not a lot here, given this is technically Yoshi's Island 3. First we have 3 music tracks, first being 2 versions of the game's main theme, with both the original song and a new remix. As well as Bandit Valley, the theme for the level of the same name. In addition, there's one spirit, with spirit number 319, Mega Egg Dozer, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Strong Throw, a giant egg Yoshi can throw after swallowing a giant Shy Guy that destroys everything in its path. Now we have the Yoshi series return to consoles after an 18-year-long gap from Yoshi's story, Yoshi's Woolly World, which goes for an aesthetic of everything being made out of wool and yarn, with the game being made by Goodfeel, who had previously worked with Nintendo on the similarly yarn-themed Kirby's Epic Yarn. The game not only has an incredible art style, but is also only competing with the original Yoshi's Island for best game in the series, with the game even getting a 3DS port which gave additional amiibo support and a bonus mode, at the cost of losing multiplayer. So for a change up from the previous few entries, we actually have a decent amount of stuff to talk about. To start, we have 2 music tracks, with 2 versions of the game's main theme, which plays during the game's first level, Yarn Yoshi Takes Shape, with both the original song and a Smash 4 remix, which also includes part of the theme for the level Sponge Cave Spelunking. Next is a costume for Mii Brawlers with the Woolly Yoshi outfit, based on Yoshi's appearance in the game, named Yarn Yoshi, specifically being the green colored Yoshi. Finally, there's 2 spirits. Number 321, Yarn Yoshi, a 3-slot ace primary grab spirit with the effect Weight Down. This being the green Yoshi, which is the default color on save file 1. And number 322, Yarn Poochie, a 3-slot advanced primary shield spirit with the effect Weight Down. The game's iteration of Poochie, a dog Yoshi can ride on to travel over spikes, defeat enemies on contact, and reach high places. To end off, we have the most recent Yoshi game, and a semi-sequel to Woolly World, Yoshi's Crafted World, once again being developed by Goodfeel, with the art style now being based on arts and crafts. Given this game released 3 months after Smash Ultimate, it shouldn't be too surprising to hear that barely anything from this game got in. The only thing being spirit number 298, Yoshi, Yoshi's Crafted World, a fighter spirit based on Crafted World's iteration of Yoshi, once again being the default green Yoshi. And that's the end of the Yoshi series. Overall, the series is a lot less represented when compared to Mario and Donkey Kong, being a distant 22nd, ranking above Pikmin but below F-Zero. Given there's almost 200 series, that's still impressive, but a noticeable drop from Mario's 1st and Donkey Kong's 8th. But now we're moving on to the Wario series. For this part, we'll first do an overview of the Wario Land series as a whole, then go one by one for the WarioWare series. So let's get started with humanity's greatest achievement, Wario. Wario Land is a series of 2D platformers starring Wario, with the original Wario Land also doubling as the third game in the Super Mario Land series, similar to how the first Yoshi's Island doubled as a sequel to Super Mario World. The series' main ways of sticking out compared to the Mario games being the focus of Wario being built like a brick house by both ramming into and throwing enemies as opposed to simply jumping on them, as well as Wario's greedy nature, with a large emphasis on collecting money and treasures. The first 5 games were developed in-house by Nintendo, but the last game, Wario Land Shake It, or the Shake Dimension in Europe, being developed by Goodfeel, who, as mentioned earlier, went on to do Yoshi's Woolly World and Crafted World. Despite this being the series that popularized Wario outside of the Mario series, there's surprisingly little from the Wario Land series, hence why I'm talking about everything from this series in one go. To help video flow, I'll also be throwing in stuff from Super Mario Land 2, since that's the game Wario first appeared in, as well as Wario Master of Disguise, another Wario platformer developed by Suzak, who had previously worked with Nintendo on the Game Boy Advance F-Zero games, before unfortunately going bankrupt in 2012. To start off, we have fighter number 30, Wario, who was created to be the main antagonist of Super Mario Land 2, his name being a portmanteau of Mario and Waruri, the Japanese word for bad, making his name Bad Mario. Wario's default look in Smash is based on the biker outfit he wears in the WarioWare series, with his classic overalls look from the Mario and Wario Land series being an alternate costume. Next is the music track Ruins, which plays during the level Stone Carving City in Wario Land Shake It. Following that, we have the Mii hat, Wario's cap, based on the hat he wears in both the Wario Land series and a vast majority of the Mario series. Finally, we have 5 spirits. Number 730, Wario Overalls, a fighter spirit, this being Wario's appearance in the Mario and Wario Land series, with the art coming from the Super Mario Bros. Encyclopedia, a Mario-themed encyclopedia released to celebrate the series' 30th anniversary. Number 745, Captain Syrup, a 3-slot advanced primary grab spirit, the leader of the Black Sugar Gang and main antagonist of Wario Land 1 and 2, with the art coming from Wario Land Shake It, where she sells Wario maps in order to help him on his quest to defeat the Shake King and recover the bottomless coin sack. Number 746, Princess Shokora, a 1-slot novice support spirit which lets you start the battle with a super leaf. A deceased, cursed princess Wario ends up inadvertently saving when he raids a pyramid for treasure in Wario Land 4. The artwork most resembling her appearance if the player beats the game, finding 6 to 11 of the game's 12 treasures. Number 747, Count Cannoli, a 2-slot novice primary attack spirit with the effect Magic Attack Up, a fictional thief from Master of Disguise who is the main character of a show called The Silver Cypher, who builds a rivalry with Wario after he steals the wand he uses to transform in order to become the Purple Wind. Number 748, Shake King, a 1-slot novice primary grab spirit with the effect Strong Throw, the main antagonist of Wario Land Shake It, who planned to take over the Shake Dimension by kidnapping its ruler, Queen Merelda, and the Murphles, along with stealing the bottomless coin sack. Now we have the start of the WarioWare series with WarioWare Inc. Mega Microgames, or WarioWare Inc. Minigame Mania in Europe. For anyone unfamiliar, WarioWare is a series that has you play through a marathon of roughly 10-second long microgames one after another, with the games getting progressively faster and harder until hitting a set number of games to complete, after which the stage can be replayed where you keep going until you fail 4 times. Given a lot of fundamentals of the series came from the first game, we have a good amount to go over. To start off, we have the stage WarioWare Inc., which is based on the Variety Tower from the game, which instead of being restricted to a set list of microgames, pulls from every microgame in the game. The main platforms resembling the inside of Wario's house in the game. During the fight, players are pulled into various microgames from the first 3 entries, with the music for each microgame playing if the song WarioWare Inc. is playing. In the original game, the microgames had 3 levels of difficulty, which do appear, but instead of progressively getting harder, the difficulty is picked at random. The microgames that can appear are Aerospace from Mega Microgames, where you have to dodge arrows launched from the background, Blowing Up from Touched, which has you pop party poppers, Crackdown from Mega Microgames, where you need to be airborne when the guy in the background hits the ground with a hammer, Crazy Cars from Mega Microgames, where you have to dodge the incoming car, Don't Move from Twisted, where you have to stand still, Kitty Cover from Mega Microgames. In the original game, you had to move the umbrella to protect a cat from the rain. In Smash, you instead have to join the cat to get under the umbrella. Lose Your Marble from Touched, which has you break marble to reveal a statue. Soul Man from Mega Microgames, where you have to dodge a shadow to avoid getting stepped on. And Taunt, the only Smash original microgame where the player has to taunt when the camera clicks, with the background including a cameo from WarioWare regular Jimmy T. If a fighter successfully clears the microgame, they are rewarded by either being healed or made invincible, giant, or metal. Next are 2 music tracks. WarioWare Inc., a Brawl remix, which combines the main menu music and title theme. WarioWare Inc. Medley, a Brawl medley containing the introduction to 9 volts microgames, Jimmy T's Boss microgame theme, Dribble and Spitz's microgames theme, the introduction to Dr. Krygor's microgames, the introduction to Wario's second set of microgames, the Newsflash jingle, the main menu theme, and the title screen theme. And to end off the first WarioWare, we have 10 spirits. Number 729, Wario, a fighter spirit. Wario hosting the intro and anything goes set of microgames, all of which include Wario in some way, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where he hosts the same categories, albeit with 3 sets of beginner games for each of the 3 control styles. Number 731, Jimmy T, a 2-slot ace primary shield spirit, a disco nut who hosts the sports category of microgames, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where he hosts the sports games played in the MASH League. Number 732, Mona, a 1-slot ace support spirit with the effect down special up. A woman who works part-time at multiple places around Diamond City. Mona hosting the strange category of microgames, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where she hosts the That's Life games played in the MASH League. Number 733, 9V and 18V, a 2-slot ace support spirit with the effect Zap Floor Immunity. 9V being a Nintendo-obsessed kid who hosts the Nintendo Classics category of microgames, and 18V being another Nintendo fan who 9V befriends in WarioWare Twisted, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where they both host Nintendo category microgames, 9V for the Touch League and 18V for the Twist League. Number 734, Dribble and Spits, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect battering items up. A pair of cab drivers who host the sci-fi category of microgames, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where they host the fantasy games for the MASH League. Number 735, Cat and Anna, a master spirit who runs the ninja-style dojo, which increases grab and throw power, item attack, and movement and fall speed, whilst decreasing attack and special move power, defense, and weight. A duo of ninjas in training who host the nature category of microgames, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where they host the That's Life games for the Touch League. Number 736, Dr. Krygor, a 2-slot advanced primary grab spirit with the effect Electric Attack Up. A scientist who hosts the reality category of microgames, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where he hosts the sports games for the Twist League. Number 737, Orbulon, a 2-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Irreversible Controls. An alien who hosts the IQ category of microgames, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where he hosts the fantasy games for the Touch League. Number 743, Pyoro, a 1-slot advanced support spirit which lets you start the battle with a Mr. Saturn, an in-universe video game character whose success inspires Wario to make his own video games, kicking off the game's plot, with the art coming from Birds and Beats, a DSiWare remake of the Pyoro minigames from Mega Microgames. And number 744, Frox, a 1-slot novice support spirit with the effect Improved Escape, a species of pixel creatures that appear in a few microgames, with 9V also having one as a pet, with the art coming from Game & Wario, where they have their own multiplayer game, Islands. Next is WarioWare Twisted, the gimmick for this game being that the microgames focus around tilting the GBA to beat the microgames. If that sounds familiar, it's because it's using the same gyroscopic technology as Yoshi Topsy-Turvy. We have a decent amount of stuff to talk about here, so let's get started. To start, we have 2 music tracks, with a Brawl remix of Mona Pizza's song, which plays through Mona's microgames, with there being both an English and Japanese version of the track.
This here is Mona Pizza, makers of the world's best pizza. Fresh sauce and cheese galore. お届けします。こちらモナピザ。
Following that is two spirits. Number 738, Wario Man, a 3-slot legend primary attack spirit, a superhero transformation Wario gains after accidentally going inside Dr. Krygor's gravitator, with the art coming from WarioWare Touched, this time gaining the transformation after eating some nasty garlic. In both games, he hosts the final set of Microgames. And number 741, 5V, a 3-slot advanced primary neutral spirit which can be enhanced at level 99. 9V's mother, who appears during the ending cutscene of 9V and 18V's stage, although she only appeared as a silhouette until Game & Wario, where she appears in the minigame Gamer, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where she hosts the Nintendo games for the MASH League. Next is the series debut on the DS with WarioWare Touched, which had you play the microgames using the DS's touchscreen. There's a good amount for this game as well, but you'll definitely see a pattern as to why that is the case. First, we have 5 music tracks, with 3 versions of Ashley's song, which plays through Ashley's set of microgames, with a Brawl remix that gets both an English and Japanese version,
living in the haunted mansion.
You better learn my name goodbye.
Ashley knows the darkest spells and she brews the meanest potions.
You might be the ingredient I seek.
as well as a Smash 4 remix of the Japanese version. Along with 2 versions of Mike's song, which plays through Mike's set of microgames, with a Brawl remix that gets both an English and Japanese version.
My name is Mike, come on, let's roll, okay, we go key. Get up on the stage and sing a little ditty for me.
Next we have the only Wario series assist trophy with Ashley, a young witch who lives in a haunted mansion. In Smash, she creates a purple cloud which causes random effects when standing in it, ranging from turning invisible to being unable to use recovery moves. Continuing with Ashley, we also have a Mii Swordfighter costume based on her, with the sword being Ashley's wand. Finally, we have spirit number 739, Ashley, a 2-slot legend support spirit with the effect Fast Final Smash Meter, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where she hosts the fantasy games for the Twist League. Following that, we have WarioWare Smooth Moves, this time having the microgames be played using the gimmick of the Wii's motion controls. Oddly enough, despite this being one of the best-selling entries in the series, this is actually the least represented entry, the only thing being spirit number 740, Young Cricket, a 1-slot novice support spirit with the effect Aura Attack Up, a martial arts student training under Master Mantis, with the art coming from WarioWare Gold, where he and Cricket host the sports games for the Touch League. To end off, we have Game & Wario, a more party game based WarioWare for the Wii U, with larger scale mini-games themed to each major character from the series. There's not much here, mainly due to Smash focusing in on only one of the 16 mini-games. To begin, we have the stage Gamer, based on the mini-game of the same name, which is themed to 9V, where you have to beat over 100 microgames without losing all your lives, falling asleep, or being caught by 5-Volt, who is constantly checking to see if 9-Volt is asleep. The stage is set on 9-Volt's desk, but aside from the base platform, the rest is randomized at the start of the match, with the desk and some of the platforms having stickers of various WarioWare characters on them, with one of the platforms even including Game & Wario's interpretation of Pyro. Just like the game, during the fight, 5-Volt can appear from the doorway, window, TV, and if they're present on the stage, the sketchbook and gamepad. If a fighter comes into her line of sight, they will be paralyzed before being launched. Finally, if the music track Gamer is playing, the music will only play when 5-Volt is on screen, to match how the track was used within the game. Next is the music track Gamer, which is the music track that plays when 5-Volt enters the room. Finally, we have spirit number 742, 5-Volt Angry, a 3-slot ace primary neutral spirit with the effect critical health attack up, this being 5-Volt's appearance if she catches 9-Volt, with the artwork coming from WarioWare Gold, specifically the game's Sneaky Gamer mode, which is basically WarioWare Gold's version of Game & Wario's Gamer mode. And that's the Wario series. Overall, it's not that far behind Yoshi at 26th, ranking above Final Fantasy, but below ARMS, with that ranking mostly being down to how there's barely anything from Wario Land. But we're still not done, as there's one series left to talk about with Wrecking Crew. Wrecking Crew, as the name suggests, is a game that revolves around destroying all the walls on screen whilst avoiding all the enemies. The game originally released in arcades, but is more so known for its NES port that released a year later. The game did see a sequel with Wrecking Crew 98, which released exclusively in Japan for the Super Famicom. However, Smash only refers to the original game, so I'll only focus on that. First is the stage Wrecking Crew, based on the building the game takes place in. The stage has randomly generated walls and climbable ladders that can be destroyed by bombs, behaving just like the original game. Destroying all the walls on a layer will cause the layer above to fall down, with the building having an infinite amount of randomly generated floors. There's also barrels, which will trap fighters if they fall on top of them, as the floor the barrel is on falls down, in the game being used in the same way to trap enemies. Next we have 4 music tracks. A retro medley, using music taken directly from the original game, specifically the tracks Game Start, Background Music A, Round Clear, Bonus Round, Power Up, and Game Over. A Smash 4 medley with the tracks Game Start, Background Music A, Bonus Round, and Power Up. A new medley with the tracks Background Music A, and Power Up. a direct port of the power-up music. Then we have the item Golden Hammer, a power-up that swings faster than the regular hammer, allows you to attack enemies, and lets you float by mashing buttons. In Smash, it's basically just a more powerful and faster version of the previously mentioned hammer item from Donkey Kong that lets you float by mashing the jump button like the original game, with the music being overwritten by Wrecking Crew's power-up music. This being balanced by having a random chance of being a squeaky golden hammer, which doesn't do any damage and makes squeak noises every time it's swung. And to end off, we have Spirit number 115, Eggplant Man, a one-slot novice primary shield spirit, an enemy who first appears on phase 2 of the original game. And with that, we have truly finished looking at everything from the Mario series, with Wrecking Crew, due to all the material being taken from one NES game, being joint 46th in the rankings, putting it on the same level as the series Chibi Robo, Cuphead, Tetris, Starfy, and the Light Gun series. Feel free to comment on what series you would like to see next, and thanks for watching.